There was a time when filling a silo took days of sweat, muscle, and teamwork. Then came a wave of machines that changed everything. Forage harvesters that cut faster, threw farther, and made dairy farming more efficient than ever before. Some were mass-produced, others built in handfuls, but each left a mark on the landscape of American agriculture. These are the 12 forage harvesters you've never seen. Number 12. Fox Self-Propelled Forage Harvester. When the Fox River Tractor Company began producing harvesting equipment in the early 20th century, they weren't aiming to compete with industrial giants. Instead, they focused on solving local problems for Midwestern farmers who needed better ways to gather silage. Based in Appleton, Wisconsin, Fox built its reputation on reliability, innovation, and practical engineering. By the mid-1950s, as dairy operations expanded and labor shortages deepened, the call for self-propelled forage harvesters grew louder. Fox listened, and in 1960, they answered with one of the first commercially available self-propelled forage harvesters in the United States. Unlike the bulky pull-type units that dominated the era, this new machine was designed to move under its own power, freeing up tractors for other jobs during harvest season. The idea was simple, but the impact was enormous. Farmers no longer had to wrestle with awkward hitches or spend hours setting up belts and drives. With a self-propelled system, the operator could maneuver more precisely, harvest more efficiently, and work longer days without needing a second hand to guide a tractor. It was a machine that promised independence, and it delivered. Under the hood, the earliest versions of the Fox self-propelled harvester used a 4-cylinder Wisconsin gasoline engine. The displacement measured 4,250 cubic centimeters, or about 259 cubic inches, which provided a steady source of power for mid-sized dairy farms. While it didn't carry the brute force of later diesel units, it offered something just as valuable, dependable performance across long workdays. In terms of output, the engine produced approximately 75 horsepower, enough to drive the cutter head, feed rolls, and blower without hesitation. For its time, that power level placed it comfortably ahead of many tractor-powered alternatives. Its compact design allowed for tight turns at the end of rows, making it particularly well-suited for the small and oddly shaped fields common in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and upstate New York. The drivetrain was mechanically straightforward, offering solid traction even in damp or uneven terrain. Maximum road speed hovered around 12 miles per hour, which might seem modest by modern standards but was more than adequate for moving between fields or transporting silage along short hauls. Most importantly, the harvester stayed balanced under load, reducing operator fatigue and improving safety. What made the Fox truly innovative wasn't just its powertrain or performance. It was the way it embraced modularity. Interchangeable heads allowed farmers to switch between grass, hay, and corn with relative ease. The cutter head design borrowed from Fox's popular pull-type models, maintaining a consistent chop length and minimizing crop damage. That attention to feed quality helped build trust among dairy farmers who depended on high-grade silage for winter milk production. Torque delivery on the Wisconsin engine peaked around 130 pound-feet, more than sufficient to keep the feed rolls moving through thick stands of green corn. The blower system, positioned directly behind the cutter head, was efficient and powerful, capable of filling silage wagons evenly without frequent adjustments. This tight mechanical layout made the machine easier to service and kept more moving parts within reach of a single operator. Although Fox's self-propelled harvester was only produced in limited numbers and lacked the global reach of later competitors, its legacy is undeniable. Number 11. Gehl 1085 Forage Harvester. As the demands of forage harvesting grew in the late 20th century, Gehl responded with a machine that blended rugged simplicity with smart mechanical design. The 1085 forage harvester emerged in the 1980s as a response to farmers asking for more control, more capacity, and less downtime. Unlike many machines of its time, it wasn't built to impress on a showroom floor. It was designed to survive the mud, dust, and daily grind of Midwestern silage fields. Gehl had already earned a reputation for building reliable pull-type harvesters that could handle green chop and corn silage alike. But the 1085 took that concept further. It offered multiple head configurations, allowing operators to switch quickly between hay, corn, and specialty crops. This flexibility gave the 1085 a practical edge, particularly for farms that couldn't justify owning more than one harvester. It was a single machine that adapted to the changing needs of the harvest season. The heart of the 1085 was a durable power unit that demanded little and delivered plenty. Engine options conditions varied depending on tractor pairing, but most units required a steady input of around 100 horsepower to reach peak efficiency. That figure placed it squarely within reach of common row crop tractors of the era, making the harvester accessible to a wide range of farm operations. Torque delivery was another area where the 1085 stood out. With a well-balanced gearbox and precision-cut feed rolls, the machine delivered consistent torque near 160 pound-feet, more than enough to chew through dense silage without binding or clogging. Operators appreciated how the machine maintained a steady pull, even when conditions turned heavy or wet, a frequent challenge in fall cornfields. The gearbox and drive system were engineered for simplicity. With fewer chains and belts than comparable models, the 1085 was easier to maintain and quicker to repair. Road speed depended on the towing tractor, but most setups could reach around 15 miles per hour, allowing for efficient transitions between fields. In many ways, its reliability wasn't just mechanical, it was mental. Farmers could count on it to work, and that peace of mind mattered most during the tight window of silage harvest. The cutter head featured a high-capacity design with multiple knives spaced for uniform chop length. The intake throat was wide enough to prevent bottlenecks, and the blower system kept forage moving steadily into wagons, even in high moisture conditions. With a displacement near 5,350 cubic centimeters, or about 365 cubic inches, the harvester could process large volumes without hesitation. What truly set the Gehl 1085 apart was its build quality. Heavy steel framing, reinforced welds, and smart component layout meant the machine held up under pressure and aged well. For many farmers, it became a long-term partner in the field, often staying in service far beyond its expected working life. Though newer designs have replaced it in most modern operations, the 1085 remains a quiet legend among those who remember it. Number 10. New Holland FR920. As forage harvesting entered the 21st century, the demands on machines reached entirely new heights. Larger herds, tighter schedules, and rising fuel costs pushed manufacturers to design harvesters that could do more in less time without sacrificing feed quality. That's when New Holland introduced a machine that turned heads across North America, the FR920 Forage harvester. More than just powerful, it was precise, efficient, and built to match the scale of modern agriculture. New Holland had long been a trusted name in the forage world, but the FR920 marked a dramatic leap forward in size, performance, and operator control. It wasn't aimed at small dairy farms or modest fields. This was a machine built for custom harvesters, mega dairies, and operators who measured silage output not in tons per day, but in acres per hour. Its sleek body hid a staggering amount of engineering, all focused on one goal: maximizing throughput while protecting forage integrity. Beneath the rear panels sat a massive 12-cylinder engine designed to handle extreme loads without hesitation. Displacement measured precisely 24.2 liters, or around 1,476 cubic inches, delivering the kind of steady force that kept the cutter head spinning even in thick, tangled crops. With engine power this high, the FR920 didn't just harvest silage, it devoured it. On paper, the horsepower output peaked near 920 horsepower, making it one of the most powerful forage harvesters ever sold in the United States. But numbers only told part of the story. Operators noticed how that power translated into smoother head response, faster row transitions, and fewer slowdowns when switching between crop types. It wasn't raw strength alone, it was smart, usable muscle. Moving all that material required serious torque. The engine delivered well over 3,500 pound-feet, pushing forage through the feed rolls and into the cutter head without hesitation. Even in wet, late-season corn, the machine barely flinched. Operators reported near constant performance across long shifts, with fewer blockages and a steadier feed rate than earlier models. Top road speed hovered around 25 miles per hour, which allowed for fast field changes and quicker returns to storage silos. That may seem minor, but on custom operations stretched across miles, those travel speeds saved hours each week. The high-capacity spout could reach farther wagons and higher trailers, making full use of every pass down the row. But it wasn't all about size and numbers. The FR920 also featured advanced controls inside the cab: automatic length of cut adjustments, crop flow sensors, and touchscreen diagnostics that gave the operator near total command of the process. In a world where precision matters, this level of control wasn't a luxury, it was a necessity. If these first three machines impressed you, just wait. There are even more powerful harvesters ahead. Stick around to see which one changed the game entirely. And if you're enjoying this, like the video and subscribe for more. Number 9. Claas Jaguar 880. While most U.S. farmers were still loyal to domestic brands, the Jaguar series made a powerful case for looking overseas. Built in Germany but designed for global fields, the Claas Jaguar 880 was one of the machines that changed how custom harvesters worked across North America. It wasn't just a new name in the lineup, it was a bold rethink of what a forage harvester could be. By the late 1990s, Claas had already become a leader in European markets, known for their precision builds and clever engineering. The 880 model brought that same philosophy across the Atlantic, packaged in a self-propelled unit that focused not only on cutting volume, but also on protecting feed quality. American operators were skeptical at first, but those who ran the machine quickly saw its edge. The 880 didn't just chop silage. It delivered consistency, comfort, and performance all in one unit. Underneath the rear engine shroud sat a V8 Mercedes-Benz diesel engine. Displacement reached 15.9 liters, equal to about 971 cubic inches. This massive block wasn't just built for power, it was designed for smooth, continuous output across a full day's work. Unlike older machines that ran hot or bogged down, the Jaguar maintained rhythm, even in thick green chop or damp corn. That steady engine performance translated to a peak output of about 620 horsepower. More importantly, the 880 didn't struggle when conditions changed. Whether switching from alfalfa to corn or powering through wet ground, the machine handled it without hesitation. The hydraulic system adapted quickly to different crop densities, keeping feed rates constant without overwhelming the blower. With torque reaching up to 2,250 pound-feet, the Jaguar 880 rarely needed a second attempt. Dense silage moved cleanly through the feed rolls, and the cutting drum delivered uniform chop length without tearing or bruising the crop. Operators often remarked that the machine seemed to float through the row, no jolts, no engine groans, just steady, predictable progress. Transporting the harvester between fields also became less of a hassle. It reached speeds near 25 miles per hour, a welcome improvement over slower predecessors that chewed up travel time. Combined with its wide spout reach and automated trailer fill system, the 880 saved time not just in the field, but also in the transitions. For many American operators, the Jaguar 880 was their first experience with German-engineered harvesting, and while it didn't wear American paint, it earned a place on U.S. farms through quiet reliability and raw capability. Number 8. New Idea 868 Uni-Chopper. Innovation rarely comes from comfort zones, and few machines prove that better than the New Idea 868 Uni-Chopper. Born from a bold idea to unify multiple harvest systems into a single, modular platform, this machine stood out in a market dominated by single-purpose equipment. For farmers tired of owning 3 machines for 3 different crops, the Uni-Chopper brought a refreshing alternative. One power unit, multiple tools, and a whole new approach to forage harvesting. The story begins with New Idea's acquisition of the Uni-System concept from Minneapolis Moline. By the late 1960s, New Idea had transformed that concept into a true workhorse. The Uni-System used a self-propelled power unit that could accept different harvesting attachments, including shellers, pickers, and, most notably, the 868 Uni-Chopper. This attachment was specifically built for forage, allowing farmers to switch from grain to silage with only a few bolts and adjustments, saving both time and storage space. Rather than being a dedicated silage machine, the 868 mounted directly onto the front of the Uni-System power unit. That meant the harvester used the same engine, cab, and drivetrain year-round, regardless of crop. The attachment itself was no lightweight tool. It featured high-capacity feed rolls, a precision cutter head, and a blower designed for tight silage packing. Its real strength, however, was versatility. From fine grasses to heavy corn stalks, the 868 handled a broad range of material without needing major modifications. In most configurations, the Uni-System power unit carried a gasoline or diesel engine with a displacement of about 6.7 liters, or approximately 478 cubic inches. This provided enough energy to run the cutter head and blower, while still powering the wheels across uneven terrain. Combined with the harvester's durable belt-driven design, it created a balanced system that could run for hours without overheating. Peak power output landed around 125 horsepower, more than enough for the typical silage duties on medium to large-scale farms. The real value came from the fact that the same power unit could later be used for corn shelling or hay harvesting, depending on the attachment installed. That kind of year-round utility was rare and made the Uni-System especially attractive to budget-conscious operations. Torque levels hovered near 320 pound-feet, allowing the feed mechanism to maintain momentum through dense, tangled crops. The intake was engineered for minimal clogging and the cut length could be adjusted manually to match different feeding requirements. Even when operating in wet fall conditions, the harvester stayed consistent and responsive. Travel speed for the power unit reached nearly 16 miles per hour, offering reasonable mobility between fields. Operators appreciated the tight turning radius, which made it easier to work in irregularly shaped plots and along field edges. The spout and chute were fully adjustable, allowing for clean wagon fills with minimal loss. While the Uni-system concept eventually faded from mainstream use, the new Idea 868 Uni-Chopper remains one of the most unique entries in American forage history. Number 7. Hesston 7600 Field Queen. The Hesston 7600 Field Queen wasn't designed for show or subtlety. It was made to get the job done fast and without complaint. Launched during the peak of custom harvesting in the mid-1970s, this self-propelled forage harvester offered a rare combination of brute strength and field-tested reliability. In a time when many machines were still pulled by tractors, the Field Queen charged ahead under its own power and set a new standard for what high-capacity harvesting could look like. The story began in Maize, Kansas, where two alfalfa entrepreneurs decided to scale up their operations and meet the growing demand for mechanized silage. Their company, Field Queen, was acquired by Hesston in the early 1970s, and with it came a machine that would soon become the flagship of custom silage crews across the Midwest. The 7600 wasn't just another entry in the self-propelled category. It was one of the largest, most advanced forage harvesters of its time. Fueling this mechanical beast was a powerful diesel engine sourced from Caterpillar. Displacement reached 17.0 liters, which equals approximately 1,037 cubic inches. This was no modest farm engine. It was a full industrial power plant, repurposed to drive through dense rows of corn and towering stands of sorghum without a pause. Reliability under pressure was the goal, and it was met. With that engine, the machine generated close to 210 horsepower, giving it the muscle needed to power the cutting head, the blower system, and the hydraulic mechanisms all at once. Even in poor field conditions, operators rarely reported power drop-offs. The cutter head itself was built to process enormous quantities of forage, making the machine especially popular among custom harvesters. Moving from state to state during the silage season, torque output came in around 800 pound-feet, a figure that helped the Field Queen maintain cutting force, even when the crop density spiked unexpectedly. This allowed for consistent chop quality and reduced the number of stalls in heavy material. The feed rolls were designed to pull in crop material without binding, keeping up with the large intake capacity and ensuring smooth operation throughout long workdays. Top road speed hovered near 18 miles per hour, which might sound average, but for a machine of its size and era, it was more than sufficient. It allowed custom crews to travel quickly between fields, without the need for trailers, saving both time and fuel. The machine's layout also featured a side dump option, giving operators flexibility in how they filled forage wagons or trucks, depending on the field arrangement. Though production was short-lived, the Hesston 7600 Field Queen made an outsized impact. It proved that American-made machines could compete in raw performance with any harvester on the market. Today, only a few remain in service, but those who ran them still remember the roar, the reach, and the sheer force of a machine built to rule the field. Number 6. John Deere Model 34 Forage Harvester. In the late 1960s, John Deere made a deliberate move to expand beyond tractors and planters by entering the forage equipment market with machines that matched its reputation for dependability. One of the earliest and most iconic of these efforts was the John Deere Model 34 Forage Harvester, introduced in 1967. While it didn't make headlines like some of Deere's row crop machines, the 34 quietly became a trusted workhorse on dairy farms across the country, helping small and mid-sized operations bring their silage production into the modern era. At a time when many forage harvesters still relied on basic designs with limited adjustability, the Model 34 introduced practical innovations that made a difference in day-to-day fieldwork. One of the machine's most praised features was its integrated knife sharpener, which allowed farmers to maintain cutting quality without removing components. This small detail saved valuable time during the harvest window and kept silage chop consistent across acres of crop. The cutter head housed 6 sharpenable knives, spaced to deliver a balanced cut, whether the operator was working through grass, alfalfa, or corn. Feeding was controlled by steel feed rolls and a compact blower system that moved chopped material efficiently into wagons. With proper adjustments, the machine produced a clean, uniform cut that helped ensure proper fermentation in the silo, a crucial factor in livestock nutrition and milk production. Tractor power requirements for the Model 34 typically ranged around 70 horsepower, making it compatible with a wide range of mid-sized tractors of the era. This made the harvester especially popular in the dairy-heavy regions of Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Pennsylvania, where flexibility and cost-effectiveness were key. Even with lower power, the machine could maintain a strong working pace without overloading the PTO system. Torque delivery from the towing tractor typically needed to be around 140 pound-feet, which allowed the cutter head and feed rolls to perform smoothly under load. The machine's simplicity also meant fewer breakdowns and easier repairs in the field. Operators could often replace knives, tighten belts, or adjust the shear bar without calling for outside help, which gave the Model 34 a reputation for reliability that lasted decades. The blower and discharge system could easily handle high moisture forage, and with the proper attachments, the harvester could switch between a grass pickup head, a single or double row corn head, or even a direct cut bar for standing crops. This adaptability gave farmers the ability to use one machine for an entire season of forage tasks. The machine's power source typically came from a tractor with an engine displacing roughly 5,400 cubic centimeters, or about 329 cubic inches. With a standard 540 RPM PTO connection, setup was straightforward and dependable, even in less than ideal conditions. The John Deere Model 34 may not have carried the flash of later self-propelled units, but it earned its reputation through steady work, easy upkeep, and season after season of dependable service. Number 5. Krone Big X 780. Built in Germany but embraced by custom harvesters across the United States, the Big X 780 didn't just offer improvements, it delivered dominance. Krone's roots in forage harvesting run deep, but it was the Big X series that placed them on the radar of North American producers seeking peak performance. The 780 model represented a perfect blend of brute force and cutting-edge design. It wasn't built for modest fields or short harvest windows. It was made for crews that needed to cover acres fast, with reliability they could trust from sunrise to sundown. At the heart of this harvester was a power plant built to work under pressure. The engine was a 12-cylinder MAN diesel unit with a displacement of 24.2 liters, or roughly 1,476 cubic inches. With that kind of volume, it didn't just provide energy, it offered assurance. Even in tough, wet silage, the machine powered through without hesitation. In terms of output, the Krone Big X 780 produced a staggering 778 horsepower. But it wasn't just about numbers on a page. Operators noticed the real-world effect: uninterrupted harvesting across long rows, even under high loads. The engine barely flinched, keeping the cutter drum turning with smooth, steady force throughout the day. Torque peaked well above 3,200 pound-feet, giving the harvester the kind of pulling strength needed for dense crop material and full-width header work. The intake system was carefully engineered to match this torque, feeding silage evenly without bottlenecks. Chop length could be finely tuned, and even with wide heads, the feed rolls stayed controlled and consistent. When it came time to move between fields, the Big X 780 managed road speeds up to 25 miles per hour, making it surprisingly nimble for its size. This reduced downtime and allowed custom operators to switch locations without trailering. The machine also offered a VMAX cutter head and VariStream crop flow system, both of which helped prevent blockages and allowed the operator to push harder without risking damage. The cab experience was just as refined. Inside, operators had panoramic visibility, touchscreen controls, and adaptive automation features that adjusted cutter drum speed and throughput automatically. This meant fewer stops, fewer manual adjustments, and more acres covered before sundown. For North American operations looking to scale up without compromise, the Krone Big X 780 became a trusted flagship. Number 4. Fox 6350 FWD Self-Propelled Forage Harvester. Introduced in the late 1970s, the Fox 6350 FWD Self-Propelled Forage Harvester became one of the last great machines to carry the Fox name before the company's decline, and it did so with impressive capability and bold mechanical decisions. The Fox River Tractor Company had already established itself as a serious contender in forage equipment, particularly through the 1950s and 60s. But by the late 70s, It was clear that self-propelled units were the future, and Fox needed to offer a high-horsepower, full-featured harvester to compete with bigger players like John Deere and New Holland. That push led to the creation of the 6350, a machine that would become one of Fox's most capable forage harvesters ever built. At the center of its design was a rugged inline six-cylinder diesel engine that delivered reliable power over long harvest days. Displacement measured about 8.2 liters, which equals roughly 505 cubic inches, giving the machine the muscle to run its full-width cutter head and blower without straining. The forward drive configuration further improved traction and made it easier to climb wet or uneven ground when field conditions were less than ideal. On the performance side, the engine produced about 200 horsepower, putting it right in line with the needs of large-scale operations. Whether chopping corn silage or heavy haylage, the harvester kept a steady pace and never felt underpowered. Even more impressive was its ability to deliver clean, uniform cuts with minimal plugging, thanks in part to a well-designed feed roll system and precise drum control. Torque output came in near 600 pound-feet, giving the harvester enough pulling strength to maintain crop flow in dense material without bogging down. This consistent torque delivery made it a favorite among operators who valued productivity over anything else. The blower and chute setup allowed for high-speed wagon fills, while the four-wheel drive system ensured the machine stayed moving, even in soft or rutted terrain. Top travel speed approached 18 miles per hour, which helped reduce field-to-field transition time, especially on custom harvesting runs. Though not the fastest on the road, the 6350 made up for it with sheer reliability. Many units logged thousands of hours before ever needing major engine work, and the machine's all-steel construction gave it an edge in longevity compared to lighter, newer models. Though Fox as a company would eventually fade from the industry, the 6350 FWD stood as a final salute to what small shop engineering could achieve. Number 3. Claas Jaguar 970. Designed for large-scale farms and custom operators who needed maximum throughput and minimal downtime, this harvester wasn't introduced to follow trends. It was built to set them. By the early 2000s, Claas had already made its name with the Jaguar series. Farmers and contractors across Europe and North America praised the brand for building machines that combined serious power with surgical precision. When the 970 arrived, it carried that legacy forward, but with a level of performance that made it one of the most advanced harvesters in its class. Every detail, from the intake rollers to the rear axle, was built for endurance. At the core of its operation was a 12-cylinder MAN diesel engine, designed for high torque performance across full-day harvest shifts. Displacement reached 24.2 liters, or approximately 1,476 cubic inches. That kind of engine size meant the 970 wasn't fazed by wet corn, tangled forage, or heavy alfalfa. It just kept moving, no matter the conditions. Horsepower peaked at around 900 horsepower. But what stood out wasn't just the raw number, it was how quietly and efficiently the machine translated that into steady, dependable work. Operators noted that even at full load, the 970 rarely surged or bogged down. Its consistent engine rhythm allowed better chop quality, especially when working through irregular crop densities. Torque delivery reached over 3,300 pound-feet, giving the harvester a deep reservoir of pulling strength. That kind of torque allowed the machine to keep the cutter head turning and the blower firing without lag. The crop flow stayed even, the feed rate stayed smooth, and the silage stayed consistent, qualities that mattered just as much as horsepower when the harvest window was tight. Field transitions were made easier with road speeds reaching 25 miles per hour, a rare feat for a machine of this size. The high clearance frame and active steering system also meant the 970 didn't feel as bulky as its horsepower suggested. It handled field edges and turning rows with surprising agility, a major benefit for custom crews on tight timelines. Inside the cab, the experience was just as refined. Operators had access to automated length-of-cut controls, crop moisture sensors, and GPS-linked yield tracking. These weren't bells and whistles. They were tools designed to help the machine do its job better, with less waste and more precision per acre. While the Claas Jaguar 970 may wear a European badge, it earned its place on American soil by delivering unmatched power with absolute control. Number 2. New Holland FR Forage Cruiser. Built for scale and designed for endurance, the FR series proved that innovation still had a place in a field dominated by horsepower and brute force. Unlike its earlier counterparts, the FR Forage Cruiser focused as much on quality as it did on capacity. Custom harvesters and large-scale operators needed more than raw strength. They needed machines that could handle long hours, shifting crop conditions, and tight harvest windows without missing a beat. New Holland responded by blending powerful mechanical systems with digital precision, allowing farmers to fine-tune every pass with confidence. At the core of the FR Forage Cruiser is a powerful 6-cylinder diesel engine, configured to handle extreme workloads across different harvesting environments. Displacement lands at 20 liters, or approximately 1,220 cubic inches, placing it firmly among the largest power plants in its class. Whether working through tough sorghum or lush alfalfa, the engine's stamina proved itself again and again. In terms of peak output, the harvester delivers up to 825 horsepower. But more impressive than the number itself is how easily the engine sustains that power across changing terrain and crop flow. Operators rarely feel the machine strain, even during extended operation under full load. Torque delivery reaches up to 3,500 pound-feet, giving the harvester plenty of muscle to feed material through the wide intake and maintain smooth cutter drum performance. The VariFlow system and dynamic power management allow the operator to match output to actual load, reducing fuel use without compromising performance. When it comes to transport, the FR Forage Cruiser moves with surprising speed for its size. Road travel peaks around 25 miles per hour, letting custom crews move quickly between sites without added delay. The IntelliView interface in the cab adds modern control, offering touchscreen adjustments for chop length, crop throughput, and diagnostics. What makes the New Holland FR Forage Cruiser remarkable isn't just its scale, but its precision. It is proof that modern silage harvesting can be both powerful and intelligent. Number 1. Gehl CB400 Pull-Type Forage Harvester. The Gehl CB400 Pull-Type Forage Harvester didn't need a computer to run, nor a touchscreen to adjust, just a tractor, a steady hand, and a season's worth of work to do. Built for practicality, not flash, the CB400 became one of the most trusted pull-type harvesters in the Midwest during the late 20th century. Gehl Manufacturing, based in West Bend, Wisconsin, was known for building iron-tough equipment with common-sense engineering. The CB400 was a continuation of that philosophy. It followed the success of earlier models like the CB300, but added improvements in durability, feed capacity, and maintenance accessibility. Farmers appreciated that it wasn't overcomplicated. What you saw was what you got, and what you got worked hard season after season. The CB400 used a simple but efficient cut-and-blow system with a reinforced cutter head that allowed for clean, uniform chop length across all types of forage. Whether tackling fine grass or dense corn, the machine maintained a steady feed, even as moisture levels varied. The adjustable shear bar kept knives tight, ensuring crisp cuts and reducing power loss in the field. The harvester typically matched with tractors delivering about 70 horsepower, making it ideal for medium-sized operations that didn't have the budget or the need for self-propelled units. Its reliability made it a favorite among dairy farms that required daily silage consistency but couldn't afford downtime. Torque requirements hovered around 135 pound-feet, depending on crop conditions. The power takeoff setup allowed for smooth operation at 540 RPM, giving the CB400 the flexibility to perform under variable load without stressing the tractor. Field movement was limited to the speed of the towing tractor, but the compact frame and single row head made it easy to navigate tight turns and small paddocks. The discharge chute was fully adjustable, letting farmers pack wagons cleanly without spillage, even when operating on a slope or against the wind. Most units operated alongside tractors, with engines measuring around 4,400 cubic centimeters, or about 268 cubic inches. This balance between harvester and power unit meant minimal fuel use, low operating cost, and reliable daily performance. Exactly what smaller farms needed. From backfields to feed bunks, these 12 harvesters didn't just cut forage, they carved out a legacy. Know a machine we missed? Drop it in the comments, hit like if you learned something new, and subscribe for more forgotten farm power.